Hello YouTube, this is Goddard Radio Moscow here again with another beer review. Now for this one I actually had a bit of a nightmare. I thought I had started recording and I got all the way to the tasting section and found that my camera hadn't actually been recording. I'm not sure what went on there, but anyway. Now I had originally promised that I would be doing an Australian beer review for this video, but I decided to push that back one video after making quite an interesting discovery in the supermarket today. There's a new Innis Gunn has been released very recently. So today I have for you the Innis Gunn Toasted Oak IPA. Now originally I have done two reviews on one on the Innis Gunn Oak Aged Original, which was the first beer that the company produced, and also the Blonde beer, which at the time of making my notes for that particular video I'd noticed had been removed from the brewery's website, so I'm assuming that that one has been discontinued and that this one is the replacement for it. And this is a very new beer, so I thought it would be a good time to actually review this beer just now, just since it's come out. But as you'll notice, Innis Gunn have actually started using a brown bottle for this one as opposed to their clear bottles before, so this is obviously a kind of good move in the right direction, considering a brown bottle will protect you more from the oxidative damage that you get with beer. But anyway, on this note, I'd like to give a shout out to Paul at PABrewNews. He's quite into these beers and he's actually very into Scottish craft beers, but he's got some very good beer reviews. I'll put his channel link in the description, so definitely check out his stuff. He's got quite a lot of American craft beers and various things in there, so definitely check his stuff out. And I'll also put in my reviews of the Innis Gunn Oak Aged Original and the Blonde beer as well, so definitely check those out. But anyway, as is usual with my videos, I'll just take you through a bit of a history of the Innis Gunn Brewery. They have quite an interesting and unique process to how they brew their beer, so you'll probably be interested in that, or I hope you're interested in that. But if you're simply interested in the tasting of this beer, then feel free just to fast forward towards the last few minutes of the video where you'll catch that one. But anyway, just to go on to the history of this brewery. Now, Innis Gunn are an independent specialist brewing company based in Edinburgh, and they were established in 2003, but they were originally a joint venture with William Grant's Whisky Distillers, but they became family owned in 2008 after a management buyout. Now this beer, the process that's used to make these beers was discovered by accident by Dougal Sharp, and Dougal was first exposed to brewing by his father, who had his own brewery, and this was back in 1987, and he later became the head brewer at the Caledonian Brewery. Now in 2002, Dougal was actually contacted by Grant's Whisky Distillers, and they basically wanted to season their whisky casks with a malty full flavoured beer. So Dougal came up with a custom made recipe, and this was put into the casks and removed 30 days later and was replaced with whisky. And this whisky actually gained a very good reputation. But once this beer was removed, the whisky distillers were actually quite curious about what it was like, and they sampled it and they said it was excellent. It was like unlike anything they'd ever tasted before. So they phoned up Dougal, and Dougal went up to try it himself, and he was so impressed that he immediately quit his job at I believe it was still the Caledonian Brewery he was working at, but he immediately quit his job and took a year out to refine the process by which to brew these beers so that he could produce them commercially. And a year later, after 2002, in 2003, the Innis Gunn Original Oak Aged Original beer was launched to critical acclaim, and in 2010 this actually became available on draft as well. So this is quite, as you can see, they have quite an interesting history of how they actually brew their beer. They discovered a very unique process, and that's still the one they use today. But as I said earlier, I believe this beer is now one of the core range, and I'm sure that it has actually replaced the Blonde beer. But the other two in the core range are that first beer, the Oak Aged Original, the one with the red label, and they also have the rum cask or rum finish. I'm not sure which one is actually the name of it these days, but they changed the name from one to the other very recently. And that was originally a limited edition, incidentally, but they decided it was so popular that they made it one of their core range. But anyway, I'll just let you have a little look at the bottle art and stuff on this one and point out a few things to you. As I said, these beers tend to be aged for different periods in the casks, and as you can see, this one says it's a 41-day maturation period, and it also has Dougal Sharp's signature on the bottom there, and it's got the typical Innis Gunn art, as you can see, Toasted Oak IPA there, and it has the Innis Gunn 3 barrels. This was obviously on the bottle cap as well, which is standard for Innis Gunn. And I think they've got some, I don't know if you can see that very well, but they've got this sort of glasswork. There's also the 3 barrels on the bottle there. But in addition to their 3 beers in the core range, they also have a few seasonal beers, and this includes the Irish rum cask, which has a green label, Scottish Pale Ale, which has a purple one, spiced rum finish, which I'm sure is a darker purple label, and a winter treacle porter. But they also have a craft brewed lager, which is a Helles style beer, and apparently it has a very unique twist. But this one, which I had already poured because I had the nightmare with the video, is a 5.6% pale ale. So in terms of the appearance, when I poured this, it had a sort of half-finger white head. It was bubbly originally, but it sort of diffused to be a more frothy head. So as you can see, it's a very sort of pale golden colour. It's actually very similar in colour to the blonde beer, as I would say. There isn't very much sort of carbonation visible in this one. When I poured it, there was a few bubbles sort of bobbing up and down. There's still a couple in there, I would say. In terms of the aroma, this one smells kind of quite different from the blonde beer, I would say. It has that very sort of citrusy, sweety element, but you're also getting the typical Innis Gunn oaky vanilla caramel sort of mix that you get. If you've tried these beers before, you'll know exactly what I mean with the typical Innis Gunn aroma that you get. But in terms of that, mainly you are getting that citrus element, obviously because it's an IPA. Innis Gunn, this is I'm sure this is their first IPA that they've produced, but yeah, mainly you're getting the citrus elements to it. There is a grassy element to that as well, I would say, when I talk about that. But as I say, it does have the very distinctive Innis Gunn aroma to it. In terms of the taste, this tastes very, very different, in my opinion, from the previous Innis Gunn beers. One thing you'll get all the way through this is a sort of citrusy, you get that citrusy bitterness to it all the way through. It has that citrus element, so it's very different tasting from the Innis Gunns that you've probably encountered before. So be prepared for that. That citrusy element is all the way through it, but you have the sort of typical caramel and vanilla flavours with the oakiness in the background there. And I would say as well that there is actually a little bit of roasty character to this one. Yeah, the things that are remaining on the aftertaste with this one are the citrus and the vanilla, but that roastiness, I would say, goes all the way through it. So this is quite different in taste from either the Oak's original or the blonde beer. This is a very nice one, but as I say, be prepared for something different. In terms of the mouthfeel, I would say this one is a sort of light to medium bodied one. Quite light carbonation, but it's actually a very sort of dry tasting beer. It's very nice. It's very different from what you would expect from Innis Gunn, I would say. But it's definitely, I would say this is definitely worth the try. I mean, a lot of people had said to me before that they always found it difficult to distinguish between the flavours of the blonde and the Oak's original. So maybe that's why they've removed the blonde from their core range, of course. But I always felt that the blonde beer had more of a vanilla feel to it, but the Oak's original had that, the caramel and the sort of spice character was always a bit more prominent in that one. But overall with this beer, I would say it's definitely worth a try. I'm not sure exactly what the availability of it overseas will be at the moment. You're probably still more likely to be getting the rum cask and the Oak's original, but these are very, very good beers. If you try anything from Innis Gunn, I'm sure you won't be disappointed, but I would advise you, in terms of your first one, either go for the Oak's original or the rum cask. The Oak's original, with it being the first beer that they produced, is probably your best bet, I would say. But anyway, I would definitely recommend that you give this beer a chance, give it a shot. It's fairly cheap, so definitely go for it. I mean, it's very different from anything I've had by Innis Gunn before. I quite like it, actually. I'm sure this one will take me a little bit more time to get used to because it has that typical citrusy element that you get with an IPA. But this is a really good beer. I would highly recommend that you try it. But anyway, thanks again for watching my beer reviews. I'm a bit annoyed with this one because I had the nightmare with getting to the pouring stage and stuff like that before I realised the camera wasn't filming originally, so that's a bit of a disappointment. But I hope it's been informative anyway, and thanks again for watching, and please let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section and things like that. And if you haven't subscribed already, please consider it. There will be lots more beer reviews to come. So thanks again for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, all the usual YouTube stuff. But you've been watching Goddard Radio Moscow. Thanks, and I shall catch you soon. Cheers.